Hi everyone, welcome to the read aloud of Picture Day Perfection. So we are on page 84 in your My Book, and we're going to do the prepare to read section first. So it says under genre study, realistic fiction stories are made up but could happen in real life. As you read Picture Day Perfection, look for the beginning, middle, and end of the story, characters who act and talk like real people, problems that real people might have, ways pictures and words help readers understand this story. So we want to compare this and think about last week we read a story called Spoon, which was the genre fantasy. And it was a made-up story about things that couldn't happen in real life, like a spoon talking and having a big spoon family. This is realistic fiction. And even though it's made up, it's something that could happen in real life. Just like we go through picture day at school, this character will also experience a picture day. Now let's talk about our purpose. So as you read, create mental images or pictures in your mind to help you understand details in the text. So we talked in the other video about mental images, and that's the picture in your mind of what's happening. Also, our power words we talked about earlier. So let's get started. We're going to meet the author in this short clip to learn more about the author and her story, Picture Day Perfection.
Deborah Deason has always loved books. In fact, before she was an author, she used to work as a bookseller and a librarian. Now she lives in Michigan and writes silly stories that make children laugh and think. When she is not writing, she likes to read, go for walks, and do crossword puzzles.
All right, so there's a little bit about the author. And now, Picture Day Perfection. So before we read, I want you to take a minute and make a prediction. What is something you think might happen in this story? All right, remember that prediction as we read. Here we go. I'd planned for months. This was going to be the year of the perfect school picture. But some days, not everything goes according to plan. So who is telling this story? Right, it's the main character because they say I. So why do you think the author chose this person to tell the story? Yeah, I think it's because it shows how the character's feeling and their thoughts about what is happening. So what does the main character want to do? It says he wants to have the best picture day, the most perfect one. And do you think he'll be successful? Okay, well, we'll find out. The day started with the worst case of bedhead ever. So what's bedhead? Yeah, it's when you wake up from the bed and your hair looks all crazy. And you can see his pictures from the front, the back, the side. And you see the look on his brother's face when he saw his hair. So how do you think he feels about having bedhead? I can tell on his face he's not feeling too happy about that. All right, turn the page. Let's see what else happens. Then it took me quite some time to unearth my favorite shirt. I finally found it at the very bottom of the hamper. You might call it stained. You might call it wrinkled. You might even call it smelly. You wouldn't be wrong. So the text says that the boy unearthed his favorite shirt. This means he had to dig through the hamper to find it. I can picture him searching, tossing clothes out of the hamper, and I can see all the dirty clothes piling up on the floor around him. The text also says that the shirt was at the very bottom of this hamper. I can see the boy with his head practically inside the hamper, tossing out more clothes until nothing is left but that shirt. All right, let's see the next page. Breakfast was Picture Day pancakes, a family tradition. This year's festivities involved a small syrup disaster. Oh no. So a tradition is something that you do over and over. So they must do this every year on picture day. But this time it was a disaster. Let's see what happens. More accurately described as a large syrup disaster. And it occurred exactly as the bus pulled up. I had a feeling we'd be getting a new family tradition. Oh no, so look at him there. What do you think the boy's shirt looks like now? Look at the details that help you make a picture in your mind. Well, look at him. His eyes are really big and he has syrup running down his face. I think his shirt probably has syrup all over it too. Let's see what else happens. On the bus, I got into a small bit of trouble. Make that a large bit of trouble. The bus driver made me sit in the seat right behind him for the rest of the ride. By the time I got into school, my picture day face was fixed in a scowl. So remember that word, scowl. He's frowning. All right, let's see what else happens. In class, Mrs. Smith collected our photo order forms. Do you think my mom checked emerald green for my photo background? Or peacock blue? Or pizzazzy purple? No. Once again, of all the backgrounds in the world, Mom checked snoring, boring, traditional gray. No one gets traditional gray. So what unlucky thing happens to the boy on this page? Use the details to retell what happens. Right, he's upset because his mom picked boring gray for the color for his background. And he says no one gets traditional gray. Except for me. And it just so happens to be the only color in the world that makes my favorite shirt disappear. All but the stains and the wrinkles. So how do you think the boy is feeling at this point in the story? Yeah, I would agree. I think he's pretty upset. So why do you think he's feeling this way? Let's look in the text and the illustrations. So look at this picture. The illustration shows his shirt blends in with the background. So now it looks like he's just a floating head. So he's probably not feeling too happy. Let's turn the page. After that, the teacher had us all stand up and practice our picture day smiles. Personally, I thought we needed a little something to get us in the picture day mood. Whoops! Got myself in trouble. Again. So let's explain in your own words, why did the boy get in trouble? So use the text and the illustration to help you. Can you see they're all smiling and he's sticking his tongue out making a silly face? So what does this tell you about the boy? Yeah, I think he likes to have fun and be a little different from everyone else. Let's keep reading. Luckily, I got to rejoin the class in time for art. Art involved quite a lot of paint, or at least it did for me. So let's think about what happened after here he got in trouble, and then he said, I got to rejoin the class. So what happened in between these two pages? Yeah, I'm thinking maybe he had to leave the class for a while. I'm also thinking if he's using a lot of paint, he's probably making a mess, and it's probably on his shirt because I see it here flying in the air. Finally, it was time to line up for our photos. Ned, just in front of me, got the last complimentary plastic comb. I watched as classmate after classmate smiled for the camera. I got queasy listening to everyone say, cheese. I can't stand cheese. The mere thought of it turns me green, deeply green. And just as my face reached its most awful pea-shade green, it was my turn. I stepped forward. I sat down on the stool. It was hard as a rock and cold as an iceberg. Just to say sec, said the photographer as he fiddled with the camera knobs. So what phrases in the text help you imagine what it feels like to sit on the stool? How does he describe it? It says here, it was hard as a rock and cold as an iceberg. So that gives me a good image in my mind. All right, let's see. As I sat and waited, everything that had happened rushed through my mind. The monstrous messes, the muddles and the mix-ups. The whole day, from the moment I'd rolled out of bed, had gone perfectly. Even better than planned. This year, I was finally going to have the perfect school picture. Now, wait a second. All these things that happened to him were not what I thought he meant when he said it would go perfectly. Let's keep reading and see what he means. And that's when I heard a click. In a flash, all my hard work, my perfectly tangled hair, my perfectly rumpled shirt, my perfectly sticky face, my perfectly composed scowl, that perfect boring background, those perfect paint splatters, that perfect sickly pallor. Wasted, useless, ruined. In a moment of weakness, by an unexpected smile, Mom says it's my best picture ever. Now, what does the boy mean when he says that all his hard work was ruined in a moment of weakness? Yeah, I think he meant that he was wanting his picture to look really bad. That was his plan. But when it was time for the camera to flash, he smiled and made it look really good. So what does Mom say about his picture? Yeah, she says it's his best picture ever, and he doesn't look too happy because he wanted it to be a silly picture. But just wait till she sees next year's. Whoa. So what do you think the boy plans to do for the next year's school picture? Yeah, you think he's going to make it look even worse? So how do you know? Yeah, he marked, look at these faces on the calendar he marked on there. They're all silly and funny faces. So I agree. I think he's going to make those look even worse than they did before. All right. So let's see. I want you to turn over to page 104. So this is going to be what you're going to work on after the video is over. So it says, use what you know about the boy in Picture Day Perfection to write sentences about what he might do on next year's Picture Day. Look for details in the words and pictures to help you think of ideas. First, draw a picture of one thing the boy might try next year. Add a caption to describe what the boy is doing. So on this page in your My Book, you are going to draw a picture of something the boy might do on the next year's Picture Day. And add a caption. Remember, a caption tells you about the picture to describe what he's doing. And then you're going to write your sequel. A sequel is what happens next. Explain what you think the boy's plans will be for next year's Picture Day. Remember to look for details in the story that give clues about what the boy might do next year. Write details that describe what the boy is thinking, feeling, and hoping. So we want to spend our time on this page writing about what the boy's plans will be for the next year's Picture Day. So he wants it to make it look bad. He doesn't want it to look good. So what are some things he might do? That's what you're going to be writing about on this page. Also be sure that you use capital letters when you write a sentence, and make sure you use a period at the end of your sentences. I hope you enjoy writing this sequel, and I can't wait to hear what you come up with for this boy's next year Picture Day.